Hello, everybody. Max here. Today we're going to be reacting to Every 5 Seconds, a Snail Tries to Kill Me by the glorious Reggie. Alright, so I believe that this is going to be about the game Shadows of Doubt, which is a pretty cool detective kind of game. Taking a look at this first little image here. And it is a very unique style of game, so it's very hard to miss if you've played it before. And I gotta ask you, have you ever heard of the mental problem where somebody asks you if you could have about $1 billion for the rest of your life, but an animal chases you, and it is, and if it ever touches you, you end up dying on the spot. What would it be? Everyone picks the immortal snail. Well, it seems to me that that is going to be the impetus of this particular video. And we're going to find out if that is really a thing, except it sounds like that there will be no money given to him from what I'm guessing, and it's just purely solve cases while things are chasing you, which is going to be terrifying to think. But, just going off the premise of every 5 seconds, a snail tries to kill me, is he going to be spawning multiple snails to chase after him, or is it just going to be one snail that's spawns right behind him every 5 seconds to give it a chance to catch him? Either way, this is going to be very interesting, knowing a little bit of how this game works, as well as the thought of something chasing you through it the entire time. Oh, this is going to be crazy. Let's go ahead and get towards it here. I'll leave a link to the original in the description. If you enjoy, please leave a like. If you have anything you'd like to say to me, or any comments on the video, or ways for me to improve, or importantly, things you'd like me to react towards, please leave a comment in the descriptions. And please do subscribe to help me build my community and follow along in the future. Let's get it on.
Everyone's running from something. A dead-end job that crushes their soul 8 hours at a time. A broken relationship that screams louder than it listens. Or even an addiction to drinking.
Ah, yes, I had a relationship like that once. They kept calling the pot black, unfortunately. Darn kettles. They do nothing but scream and shout.
Perfume just to feel alive. But me, I'm trying to escape.
But I just enjoy spilling the tea.
Something much different. I'm trying to escape an army of killer snails, because today
oh dear god, that's a lot of snails!
We're playing Shadows of Doubt, a procedurally generated detective game about solving crimes. But for each in-game
fun game, I highly recommend it.
Minute that passes, an invincible snail will spawn onto the map and begin hunting us.
That's one of the biggest snails I've ever seen.
If it touches us, we die.
Oh dear god. I mean, I guess for one advantage, you can see exactly where it's going to be, because it looks like there's going to be some markers for it. But oh dear god, that's a lot of snails. You're telling me every 5 seconds you're going to spawn one of these? Dear lord, you're going to have a wagon train of snails after your butt the entire game.
And in case you're wondering, a minute of in-game time is about 5 or 6 seconds, meaning that after an hour, we could have...
Oh dear god, so that's how he's doing it. A minute of in-game time, and it's gonna spawn one of these little guys? Oh, that's terrifying! Especially since I don't think these cases are very quick to solve sometimes.
600 homicidal snails.
One complicated case, he's gonna have the floor. It's gonna be the floor's lava with this game.
Stalking us through the streets. They cannot be bargained with.
Never mind, the walls will also be lava, because it looks like they could also climb on the walls. Oh, that's terrifying. Oh dear god, what if he's working on one of these cases and he just sees like an army of snails climbing up the rooftops? I guess that's one way of slowing them down.
They feel no pity, no remorse, no fear, and above all else, they absolutely will not stop until we are dead. Our only way to...
And even when... Oh dear god, that's exactly what I was picturing this looking at. Look at that little trail there. Oh dear god, that's a lot of snails. They're just rounding all over the place, and they're all over the oh dear god, this is gonna be hilarious. Oh, Reggie, what have you gotten yourself into, mate?
To escape this nightmarish reality is to become a productive member of the Chinese Communist Party. Because by solving crimes, we can increase our social credit to level 5, at which point we will have the option to retire and leave this cursed city once and for all.
But will you truly be free from the snails?
So, can we escape the snail apocalypse, or will we fall victim to ungodly horrors beyond our comprehension?
Do the snails get bigger as they spawn too?
There's only one way to know. But first, I have to tell you something. 5 years ago, I was in my basement apartment attempting to teach my wife how to get sturdy, when suddenly she turned to ash
I can't dance for anything, so I can't complain about that.
before my very eyes. After collecting her remains in a dustpan, I went to the hospital so the doctors could determine the cause of this horrific disaster. Following several hours of analysis, the physician looked me
Don't snort ashes. That is 100% rude and not healthy for anybody.
straight in the eyes and said, "This lady done got
And as if you're sniffing anything, you're not doing it for your health, are you?
turned to dust because she had a deficiency of 3D real-time strategy role-playing games with built-in factory automation systems. God,
You know, I have been wanting to see this game. Let me know if I should actually stream it or something on my PS5 or something, because I've been hearing good things about it, but I don't like gotchas very much. So let me know if you would like me to play this one day, especially on stream.
damn it. If only she knew about the sponsor of today's video, Arknight's Enfield. This is a brand new RPG
This is the end field for you. Okay, I'll stop.
featuring dynamic team-based combat, cinematic storytelling, and several breathtaking environments to explore, ranging from the
Ooh, you have a raft? I like rafts.
futuristic Valley 4 to the
One of my favorite rafting levels is the raft ride in Outer Wilds. That was so much fun. I could do that for days.
Oriental town of Wuling. But let's get straight to the good stuff. Three
And I mean in-game days.
words. Automated industrial complex. In this game, you can establish a power
And
grid.
this is the part that was attracting me to the game, because I like games like Factorio and Sex Factory, so if it's anything like that, I would love to give it a try sometime.
Extract resources, manage your logistics, and develop complex
I just don't know how it really fits into the whole game.
production pipelines to manufacture helpful equipment and technology for your missions. I'm not going to lie, I love automation games. In fact, every time
Me too, Reggie. Me too.
I hear the word efficiency, I slam my hands up and down on my desk over and over while making monkey noises.
See, I like it, the word, because I completely disregard it entirely and do everything in the most inefficient ways as possible.
This is purely an involuntary reaction. Point is, Arknight's Enfield makes my brain go... and I like that very much. This game features a wide variety of characters, and personally, my favorite is Da Pan, because one of his main techniques is beating people into unconsciousness with a gigantic Chinese frying pan.
Okay, maybe I should play this.
Objectively, the best character. Now listen, Arknight's Enfield is free to play on PS5, PC, and mobile, and I implore you to use the link in the description to download the game today. Please, do it before it's too late. Thank you, Arknight's Enfield. Now, back to the video.
Maybe it's not too late for me to try using whatever code he has, and maybe on PS5 they'll have something open for me.
Before we begin, I'm going to explain the structure of this challenge.
Please do.
The snail apocalypse is divided into 3 distinct phases. The spawning phase, the empowering phase, and finally, the kaiju phase. To move from one phase to
I don't like that sound of that last phase. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like the sound of the last phase at all.
another, we have to solve a murder. And specifically, we have to solve the murder as fast as possible because each of these phases are time sensitive. Given that, this won't be your typical slow-paced crime-solving video. I will be sprinting everywhere, I will be taking massive leaps of logic, evidence will be fabricated, innocent people are going to die, and I just might do a little heroin while I'm at it. With that out of the way, let us begin.
I'm horrible at the game, so you're probably still gonna do a better job than me.
We load into the city, midnight,
is.
January 3rd. Our first snail nemesis is already upon us. For the time being, we can easily ignore him. But that peace of mind
Doesn't look like it's taking an exact straight line towards him either.
won't last for long. In order to escape, we'll need to solve 3 murders, but unfortunately, no one's dead yet. So I decide to spend some time preparing. Our first order of business is to acquire the essential items for performing home invasions. This alone should inform you about my philosophy on detective work. Regrettably, that used up all of our money, but as the saying goes, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to perform brutal home invasions and you feed him for a lifetime. So
I don't quite think that was the exact quote. You might be paraphrasing just a smidge.
I began searching the nearby apartment complex for easy targets to make some cash. After finding one, I break in, knock the first tenant out with a tea kettle, and shatter his wife's legs with a fire extinguisher.
Not the tea kettles! Why the tea kettles?
Consider this a valuable lesson on the dangers of leaving a spare key under your doormat. I spent about
Never do that. It is the first thing they'll check for.
20 minutes ransacking the apartment for a total of $200 before escaping out the bedroom window. By this point, there's around 25 snails sliming their way through the streets. Not a huge issue, but definitely noticeable. Fortunately, our
Ooh. I wonder if they're spawning in the exact space or if they are actually going to be like spawning in different spots.
spree of wanton violence appears to have manifested the death of an innocent man, because a murder case was just reported on the radio. The sooner we solve this, the sooner we can exit the spawning phase. So we head straight for the crime scene at Primal Pharmaceuticals.
Ooh, okay, let me guess how this is working. So the spawning phase is what I'm guessing is how many of these snails are going to be in the game, and then after he gets to the next phase, they're going to stop spawning, but they're going to get stronger slowly over time is what I'm guessing. And then the kaiju phase, well, who knows what's going to happen with that.
Arriving there, I can see the security shutters have been drawn. No access. So I slip into a ventilation shaft and begin worming my way toward the crime scene. Eventually dropping down
You would think with being a detective, you would have a little special access on these kind of places.
into some kind of storage closet where we hide until the police leave. Now, it's time to get to work. First priority, avoid being shot to death by ceiling-mounted machine guns.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
After disabling the security systems, we're free to explore the area. It doesn't take long to find the victim. One Paulo Baltazar, an employee here, shot dead with a hunting rifle between 7:45 and 9 p.m. last night. Upon closer inspection, we find a bullet impact point and also a hole in the nearby window. Based on this, we're likely dealing with a sniper. These can be difficult because they leave very little evidence at the scene of the crime. However, by approximating the bullet trajectory,
I was about to say, bullet trajectory is probably the only shot you're really going to have.
we can deduce that the shooter must have been firing from across the street in Hodge Projects on either the 6th or 7th floor. So it's time to go pay them a visit. This is easier said than done, because by the time we decide to leave, there are at least 40
I would have taken note exactly which side of that building that was.
snails creeping up the staircase toward us, with dozens more entering the building each minute. So we take the elevator down to floor 1 and dive headfirst into a dumpster full of scrap metal. That
Okay, that's better than the idea I was thinking.
might seem like an unnecessarily painful shortcut, but jumping out of windows is something we're going to have to become well acquainted with as the Snail Armageddon intensifies. Arriving at Hodge
Oh, that was way too close for my comfort. Oh my god.
Projects, I begin surveying the 6th floor for evidence. That sounds professional.
Here's hoping you don't have to go back into the same buildings again.
In reality, it was a lot closer to a crystal meth addict pillaging apartments for drug money. In fact, the first unit I tried to break into caused me to accidentally phase through the wall into their bathroom,
That definitely doesn't sound intentional.
which upset the tenants greatly, and resulted in me spending 5 minutes getting beat by lesbians in the shower. Eventually, the melee spilled into the
Well, that sounds like a good time, doesn't it?
kitchen, where one of them tried to stab me, missed, and stabbed their partner instead. At this point, it's a free-for-all, until I smash a peanut jar over one of their heads to end the bloodshed once and for all. Unfortunately, after searching their apartment, the only crime I found evidence of was an abusive relationship. So I
Pretty much every single place is an abusive relationship in this game from what I've seen.
uncuffed them and moved on to the next unit. This is where things became very interesting. Arriving at apartment 601, I kicked the door in, knocking out the first tenant before running inside and using the kitchen door to knock out her husband. Truly, some of my finest detective work. After
Must be their favorite band. The Doors!
that, it didn't take long to find the evidence we were looking for. A hunting rifle in the bathroom.
Well, what have we here?
Clearly in the middle of washing the fingerprints off it, but we got here too fast and the prints match up to the wife, Leia Christensen. This is a very strong start, but if we get this case wrong, the challenge is over. So we have to be
Oh, you have to get it right too, or else it's... Oh, that's...
100% sure.
That's the hard part for me.
Searching the apartment, we find no bullet casings, but there are some highly suspicious discoveries. A note to Leia's mother describing picking up some extra work on the side, perhaps as a paid assassin. An email about...
If that's the case, are you looking for the killer or the person who hired their killer?
pest control services, possibly a coded message. And as we're exploring, she receives a phone call that hangs up immediately once we answer it. Potentially a client checking to confirm the hit was completed. Most of this is what we could call circumstantial evidence, things which do not directly prove her guilt, but which, with the application of reason, could imply it. It's all
just like opening up a notepad in the wrong space.
Very frustrating, so I make sure to knock her out a few times for inconveniencing us. I want to investigate further, but the snails have reached the 6th floor, and
oh no, the snails! They're in the place!
If we wait much longer, they'll have us
I wonder how the snails deal with doors.
cornered, at which point I don't like our odds of jumping out the window. So instead, we head down to the 1st floor and gracefully make our exit. It's now time to investigate the victim. Infiltrating her apartment was comparatively easy, since, you know, she's dead. And after doing some investigating, we discovered that our victim was being stalked by an average height female. This fits the description of our suspect perfectly. The note says she was being followed yesterday at a fast food restaurant called Glutton Grub. So all we need to do now is go there, show a photo of our suspect to the staff, and if they can identify her, that will establish a solid link between
I suddenly want to play this game again. Oh, this game was fun.
our victim and
But
the
I sucked at it so badly, so I didn't ever do anything with it.
suspect, at which point we'll turn in the case. The only problem is the United Snail Army has assembled outside of Glutton Grub, and they formed a blockade to prevent our entry. So our only way to gain access was to violently hurl a garbage can through the restaurant window. Unfortunately, this angered the staff, and we had to spend 15 minutes hiding in a nearby park as the
Wait, a literal? Oh no, the army is growing.
general manager tried to kill us with a framing hammer. After he cooled off, we climbed
Oh,
This
the first
is
ad.
Jedi
Hey, it
Ninja
actually took a little while to
69.
get this one, though.
You wouldn't
But
think
come on,
he's
come on,
doing
come on,
anything
skippy,
important
skippy,
with
skip, skip.
climbed through the window and began asking around about
Honestly, 10 minutes, not nearly as bad as the every 5-minute versions. Oh dear God.
the suspect. But to my dismay, no one saw her in this restaurant at that time, which goes against our stalking theory. Additionally, by this point, we're dealing with about 250 snails, which presents us with 3 major problems.
We
First,
can make an Elysium army with this. Jesus.
our risk of touching a snail and dying has become fairly high. Now, technically, that wouldn't end the run, but in practice, it might, because by the time we wake up at the hospital, the
Oh, so it's not instant game over. It's about you will actually get sent to the hospital. Interesting. Okay.
snails could be waiting for us, effectively soft-locking our run as they spawn camp us over and over again. Second issue.
That's dirty. Also, if they run out of time on the case, I think they might get an escape, and then that ends your day, right?
Our frame rate is being absolutely demolished by the sheer volume of calculations required to monitor this many snails. And the last issue is that over time, the snails are slowly coagulating into one giant death ball. Theoretically, this is good.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't this good? Because it's their touch that kills you. But is there something wrong about that?
Because it's easier to deal with one big snail rather than 200 small ones.
But-
However, the death ball appears to be exerting some kind of domain expansion
Holy cow, that's insane.
upon its surroundings. Because if we get too close to it, our screen gets all pixelated and sometimes
Reggie, you just turned this game into a horror game. Reggie, how do you keep doing this stuff?
it blinds us completely. Even light itself cannot escape the event horizon of the Gestalt snail, which is incredibly disorienting. Needless to say, we need to solve this case before these problems get any worse. Desperate times call for desperate
Take your bets now. Do you think he can pull it off?
measures, so I'm going to execute the quintessential detective
Hey, I know
maneuver
these
when
guys.
faced with limited evidence. I'm
Take
going
a
to
guess.
bluff my ass off. Returning to the suspect's apartment,
To
we
be fair, I don't exactly give Reggie the best odds of bluffing.
find she escaped her handcuffs, so I grab a dumbbell and knock her out while she's brushing her teeth.
Reggie, that kills people!
Now it's time to confront her directly and accuse her of murder. 90% of the time, when you do this to the actual murderer, they'll confess. However, when we confronted Leia, she responded with an incredulous and dismissive, "Yeah, right." What do you mean, "Yeah, right"? We've got the gun. You're gonna fry for this. I'm not gonna lie, the confidence with which she delivered that line shook me to my very core. Could we have the wrong person? Confirmation bias is defined as the psychological tendency to search for, interpret, or favor information in a way that aligns with one's pre-existing beliefs or...
I mean, fingerprints may be on the weapon, but that doesn't mean that it could be her gun, but her roommate could be the shooter and use gloves. You don't know for sure. I don't know if you've seen gloves in there or not.
Hypotheses. A note to Leia's mother describing picking up some extra work on the side. An email about pest control services. Phone call that hangs up immediately once we answer it. Dear God, I think we've subjected an innocent woman to several hours of interrogation and having all of her teeth knocked out simply because I don't know how to do trigonometry and she picked a bad time to practice firearm maintenance. I believe we've got the wrong person. So I got to work investigating the other apartments, which is when I came across Unit 701. At first glance, it's nothing out of the ordinary, but the more I looked, the weirder it got. For example, a human skull in the master bedroom.
That's not normal.
A receipt for a hunting rifle time-stamped 1 hour before the murder.
Well, that's definitely some evidence.
Noise complaint regarding several popping sounds, some vaguely schizophrenic notes, and lastly, a list of potential victims, which disturbingly enough, appears to include us. The final piece of evidence
I think this is a little more definite than the other information.
Came when we found a receipt for Glutton Grub, the place where our victim was being stalked. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found our killer. Or should I say, our killer found us. Because while I was snooping on her computer, her husband came home and attacked us with a box cutter. Eventually, we were able to knock him out with an office chair. And 5 minutes after that, she showed up as well.
Oh no, the snails are here.
Posterity, the office chair box cutter matchup is about even. However, the office chair hunting rifle matchup is absolute dog shit. It was only by sheer luck that we managed to subdue her, at which point we got the murder weapon and she admitted everything. In case you're wondering about the motive, I'm about 99% sure she's just an unmedicated paranoid schizophrenic.
I mean, you could pretty much say that about any killer.
Is terrific, but less terrific is the fact that the snails have us completely trapped in the apartment. I try getting around them, but with each passing second, more are converging on our position, and it's starting to blind us. I frantically check the windows for potential escape routes, but on the 7th floor, it's not looking good.
Yeah, I don't want to make a fall on that height. Although, maybe if you're lucky, you could spawn in the hospital and it won't be bad.
At this point, I believe all hope is lost, until I spot it. A ventilation shaft in the kitchen closet. I climb in and we begin making...
Die hard, this bee.
Our escape. The time is 6:30, which implies about 400 snails are coming to kill us. Luckily for them,
your poor computer has got to be dying by now. Plus the recording?
They won't have to try very hard, because we tanked about 4 hunting rifle shots to the chest, and we're quickly turning this ventilation shaft into a slip and slide. In desperation, we make our exit into the kitchen of a downstairs apartment. Imagine, if you will, it's 7 a.m., you're in your kitchen making a nice breakfast before heading to work, when suddenly a blood-soaked maniac falls through your ceiling and begins frantically darting around the room, screaming.
What would you do?
Screaming about killer snails. In that situation, if you're doing anything less than killing him with a frying pan, you have miscalculated your response. So I can hardly feel upset when that's exactly what this guy did to us.
Whoa.
Oh no, not another ad.
I just put the button out.
Move it on. Skeepy.
We're unconscious. This is very bad. Fortunately, the hospital is on the other end of town. Therefore, by the time we wake up an hour later, the snails are infiltrating the building, but they haven't yet made it up to our room.
Ooh, I'm wondering if the game is calculating the movement of the snails in game time or real time, because that is going to be very important for this run, I think.
So we jump out of bed, launch a fire extinguisher through the window, and finalize our escape.
The window pavers are going to be having painters. The window painters are going to be making a killing in this town.
Going back to City Hall, we grab a murder resolution form and submit it as the snails close in from every angle.
Jesus.
After a few minutes of processing, the results come back, and we've officially solved our first murder, thereby exiting the spawning phase of the challenge with a total of 500 snails on the map.
That's a lot of snails, holy crap.
This earns us enough good boy points to reach social credit level 2. Not bad at all. With that taken care of, we've probably got about 12 to 18 hours until the next murder occurs. So what do we do now? Well, in order to reach level 5 and retire, we need 2,000 social credit. Solving 3 murder cases will get us to about 1,500, which means we need to make up the last 500 by doing community service. This could be anything ranging from finding a lost
So wait, are you only doing 3 cases? You're not allowed to do another one?
item to melting off a woman's face with a cup of coffee, and everything
Reggie, that kills people! In some cases.
in between. So let's get to work. After perusing the job listings, I come across one well suited to our talents. Demolition for reliable individual.
Oh, I think he's good at that.
I call the number, and the guy tells me he wants us to trash his friend's apartment as a prank. Looking through my inventory
It's just a prank, bro!
full of handcuffs, pepperball grenades, and loaded guns, I assure him this will be very funny. He gives us some basic intel on our target, but most importantly, their name starts with the letter A, and they live on basement level 1 of
Why don't you just tell us who the friend is? You know who it is!
Lovelace View. So that's our
Unless it's not actually a friend and they just want us to mess with somebody who he just hates.
first stop. Sneaking into the building's security office, we use a code breaker to force entry into the computer and access the resident database. After a quick search, we come back with 2 people living in the basement who fit the description. But one of them is on basement level 2, so we ignore him and focus instead on Aleel Hawkins. Heading down to his apartment, I get to work. Aleel is not home, but his boyfriend is. So the first masterstroke of this prank is going to be blinding his lover with a flashbang and then locking him in the bathroom. Now when Aleel comes home, not only will he find his apartment completely ruined, but his gay lover will be having a panic attack while handcuffed to the toilet bowl. This is the essence of modern pranks. Our
You know, he does kind of a point, sadly.
goal is to cause $700 worth of damages, but there's one major
I
problem.
mean, the therapy bills alone should be able to equate that.
This place is a fucking dump, and I don't think there's even $700 worth of things in here. On
And there's a bunch of snails coming in through there.
top of that, we're quickly getting boxed in by the snails, so I decide it's time to leave and spend a few hours eating fried chicken and chain-smoking cigarettes on the other side of town. This gave us enough time to formulate a plan on how to properly destroy this man's apartment. First, we grab a garbage bag from a nearby alley and take it to his apartment. Then we begin throwing it around like a battered wife, coating the entire apartment with garbage juice and random detritus. Living room walls,
Well, that's gotta be at least $100 in maid service.
ruined. Bathroom shower full of dirty needles. And gay boyfriend covered in garbage oil. This is a good start, but we need to go even further. I
Does that actually affect the value?
punch a hole through his shower and start bleeding profusely. Then I go roll around in his bed,
You need to wrap a shirt around your fist before you do that. Good lord, don't you know anything about breaking things?
covering the sheets in my blood, before producing 3 pounds of raw
Oh, he did that intentionally.
beef, which I throw at the walls and then eat. This gets me exceptionally nauseous, and I fill his toilet bowl full of vomit. For my final move, I take his grandfather's urn full of ashes and smash it against the ceiling. I exercise the upper limits of raw
Not the Asmongold video!
maxing,
Oh,
but
dear
to my
God.
dismay, it says we still
I'm
haven't
glad he cleaned his room, though. You gotta admit that for as long as he went with that, it's a good thing to hear he at least did a little cleaning.
done enough damage, which is when I realized something truly embarrassing. When I was determining our target, I ruled this guy out because he lived on basement floor 2 instead of basement floor 1. But it turns out there is no basement floor 2. These are apartment numbers, and we've got the wrong guy.
Oh, both a waste of time and a cause of problems. Oh my god. Oh, that's typical Reggie.
In a just world, I would be sent to a labor camp and my family would be shot for what I've just done. But in the dystopian world of Shadows of Doubt, no one really cares. In fact, our social credit hasn't even budged. So it's up to us to make this right and
Sometimes I do wonder how in the world you get away from with stuff in Shadow of Doubt.
restore our
Oh, that's right. You just pay for everything on you and go into negatives, I believe.
karmic equilibrium. I decided the best way to achieve that was to entomb the gay guy in a pile of cardboard boxes, turn the lights off, and leave. That seemed
Well, you never had a cardboard fort before?
about even Steven to me. Heading over to the correct apartment, we quickly make a $700 mess and then turn the case in for 250 social credit. Another job well done. This leaves us just enough time to get one more job done before the next murder happens. Based on our exemplary performance on the last mission, I decided to
Oh, that was the flashbang.
accept a contract for corporate espionage. Our target is the head of HR, and our client was caught jerking off in the photocopier at work. So he needs us to track down
Yeah, don't do that. HR does not like that.
the target and make those HR reports disappear. At this point, all we know about our target is his phone number, but that's more than enough. First, we have to
Honestly, that's very direct. You just look in the phone book and ta-da, you got him.
break into an apartment complex with absolutely dogshit security, and I know just the spot. Arriving at Lovelace View,
I mean, in this world, and in the real world, sometimes a phone number is as good as a name.
we break into the first apartment we find and use their phone to call the target. No one answers, but that doesn't matter. Now, we slip into the basement and find a telephone router. In most apartments, these are protected by laser tripwire systems and automated gun turrets. However, in this dump, it's being guarded by a AA battery and an eraser, so we have no problem breaking it open and accessing the call logs. Using this, we track the call we just made and determine it went to Unit 402.
That's clever-ish.
I waste no time kicking the door off its hinges and pilfering the apartment
But seriously, isn't there a phone book in this game we could have used?
in search of the HR documents. Unfortunately, they're not here, but we've got the next best thing, our target's name and his place of work.
Dun,
So
dun,
it's time to
dun.
go pay him a visit. Arriving at Zhang Terrace and Associates, I find a receptionist who, despite typing frantically, is clearly not doing anything. So I offer him $30 for a guest pass to the office. Following that, we wait until everyone goes on
Mondays, am I right?
lunch break and start searching for the documents. After 5 minutes of looking, we find the files, stuff them down our underwear, and make our escape. Then, per instruction, we leave them in a dead drop for our client and let him know the job is done. This puts us very close to social credit level 4. 2 more murder cases and we're out of here. We've still got 10 hours to kill until the next case. If we were a normal person, we could just fall asleep in a dumpster to pass the time. But if we stand still for even 5 minutes, we're going to find ourselves at the epicenter of the world's largest snail orgy. And
At least you won't see him coming anymore.
maybe that appeals to you, you poor, sick man. But that is not
Gary, no!
my idea of a fun time. Therefore, we spent the entire night on the run. And since we can't stay still,
My eyes!
I had no opportunities to use the washroom. So, canonically speaking, for the past 9 hours, we've been sloshing around in a stew of our own excrement. This is how you get a bad reputation with the ladies, because they could never understand the necessity of
I don't think relationships are really a thing in this game, but he's not lying.
shit-maxing. It's 8:47 p.m.
Remember to take a shower, folks.
I haven't slept in days, and I'm subsisting on a diet of street food and caffeine suppositories. Heading down Arquette Street, I see a commotion outside, which upon further inspection is the scene of a murder. Phase 2 has begun. For this phase, we will be cutting the number of snails in half, but for each hour that passes, we will double their size and speed, which means that within 4 hours, we could be getting chased through the streets by minivan-sized mollusks.
Oh dear God, I think you're gonna be very screwed. I hope they can't go through the door. I hope the one advantage out of all this is that they can't go through the doors. I really hope that is the only advantage for this.
The first doubling event happens in 1 hour at 9:55, so we've got to solve this fast. In between dodging snails,
Go,
I'm
go,
able
go,
to use
go,
my
go.
powers of deduction to logically infer that our victim is
I wonder if they made us an actual mod in the game now with this. I don't know if the game has any community modding, but if it is, oh dear God, this would be a sick mod.
dead. Specifically, her brain is in like 55 pieces on the side of the road. Now, I've attacked people with a vast and exciting array of objects before, but you don't get this kind of carnage unless you're using a high-powered rifle. However, I can't find any shell casings,
That reminds me, I need to react to some Brandon Herrera videos. Let me know if you would like me to do it in the comments.
and no one in the area saw anything suspicious. I was ready to leave the crime scene until, partially obscured by the
Are we sure the snails didn't kill anybody?
victim's exploded brain, I found a bullet impact point on the ground.
Ooh.
The only way the bullet could land here is if the killer
If somebody shot from above.
fired from an elevated position, and based on the direction of the blood spatter, that shot either came from this rooftop or possibly the apartment complex behind it.
That would be one heck of a shot if that is.
Heading to the roof, I find the door was left open. This is unusual. Proceeding through, we follow a trail of size 5 women's footprints all the way to this ledge where we find a single shell casing. And that's not even the best part. It's got a fingerprint. You fucking amateur. We've got all this.
You left a fingerprint on your ammo? Oh, you were screwed. You should have at least cleaned up after yourself. My goodness.
Information by 9:30, a very strong start. From here, we undertake the arduous task of breaking into random people's homes until we find a black market weapons dealer, because chances are that's how our killer got their gun. By
Well, that explains how all these weapons get on the floor.
9:50, we found one. Scarlet Crafts and Hardware. Usually, they won't let you in unless you know the password, but my password is disabling your security systems while you're taking a shit, and then knocking
You know, that's a pretty effective password.
you out with a beer bottle when you're done. With that one simple trick, we were able to gain access to their sales ledger, at which point we found someone with the initials AB purchased a rifle 1 hour before the murder.
That is not a lot, or that's not a large margin of error for that timing. Oh my goodness.
Much like a porn-sick gooner reading a Zootopia fanfic, I'm getting so close.
Not the Zootopia fanfics, oh dear God.
Unfortunately, it's now 9:55, which means the snails get their stats doubled. They're still fairly slow, but they're now the size of dogs, which
Hey, at least you seem to be on a good track here. Maybe you'll be fine. Maybe you'll be
makes
fine.
them a lot more obstructive in close quarters. Sprinting through the streets, we head straight for City Hall, and after scrubbing through the entire phone book, I come back with only 2 people that have
See, there is a phone book. You could have used it on the last job.
the initials AB, Aretha Banks and Amrit Biro, at which point we slip into an empty office and use a code breaker to gain access to the government database. The snails are closing in on our position, so we work fast. By searching each person in the database, we can print off their ID. Then, using my Kaizen V Plus cybernetic upgrade, I'm able to determine the exact
I'm sorry, Kaizen D. What?
size and flavor of each woman's feet just by looking at a photo of them. This is not a fetish. It's purely professional. Point is, only
Sure, Reggie, sure.
Amrit Biro has a shoe size that matches what we found at the crime scene. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our suspect. At this point, we could probably turn in the case. Her prints match, her shoes match, and she bought a rifle 1 hour before. But
I mean, that is just all the evidence you really need, right?
I feel a morbid curiosity. I need to know why she did it.
I mean, you don't need to. Motive is not exactly a thing they really need to convict anybody. That's handy.
So we're heading to her apartment at 1301 Hodge Projects to establish a motive. Arriving there, I make myself at home pulverizing her husband's brain and detaining him before knocking her out with an office
I sense a pattern here.
chair. As I'm searching the apartment, we hit 10:55 p.m. And again, the snails double in size. They're currently climbing up the stairwell like a rising tide of violence.
Oh dear God, that's terrifying.
But we're on the 13th floor, so they can go fuck themselves. While investigating, we find out our perp is a member of the police force. We've got ourselves a killer cop. Further evidence indicates she's been stalking our victim, so I just come out and confront her. When asked why she murdered that woman, she explains quite calmly, because I could. At this point, I'm sweating bullets.
That's always the most terrifying of motives. No motive but at all. I could.
I stutter, I stammer, "What do you mean?" To which she clarifies, someone had to deal with all the lowlifes in this city. Holy shit,
Straight up killer cop.
our suspect is cool as hell. I'm in shambles. The virgin detective stands no chance against the Machiavellian vigilante. But enough of that. It's time to finish this case. By 11:50, we hop on the elevator and sail it right through the eye of the snail tornado. By the time we hit the streets, the snails have doubled yet again. Each one of them is now the size and speed of a small elephant
You might want to turn that case in immediately, man, or else they're gonna be faster than you.
on a tricycle. Several of them are also scaling the sides of buildings. This city is overrun. We're forced to take a series of shortcuts and elaborate
250 snails of unusual sizes. Oh dear God.
maneuvers to work our way through the bulk of the swarm. Eventually arriving at City Hall, we grab a case resolution form. But not far behind us marches a dim and endless congress of murder.
please tell me that if they get a little bigger, they can't go through the door.
Murderous intent. I rush onto the elevator to make some distance between us, but the snails are now phasing through the building.
Never mind. Oh dear God, they're everywhere.
Desperately breaking into an office, we fire extinguisher the window before jumping onto a ventilation shaft and making our escape. We fill out the last of the paperwork while
This is insane.
the snails chase us through the streets. Crime, assassination, motive, vigilantism,
Yeah, I'm sure that's spelled right.
sentence, death by bureaucracy. Murder solved, social credit gained. Phase 2 is now over. Now we can indulge ourselves in the exquisite delicacy that is waiting 12 hours for someone else to die. This is its own unique form of purgatory.
The Keanu Reeves crying in a restaurant meme is never gonna get old.
Because there's only
Except when it does.
so many times you can do laps around the city before you start feeling like an NPC. In fact, I stopped fighting it, and now I'm
At this point, I'm not even sure Reggie is an NPC in some of these worlds.
full-on role-playing. Every morning, I wake up on a park bench before heading down to my favorite food truck for some coffee. I do not know why, but whenever I order coffee, the guy closes the shutters for 20 seconds, does something to my cup, and then opens them back up. I'm going to be candid. I like my coffee how I like my women, without another man's dick in it. And while I can't prove that Joe
You know, I don't drink coffee very much. But I think that also would be my preferred way to have the drink.
the food truck man is burning his cock off every morning just to prank me, I do have my suspicions. After getting caffeinated, I spend the afternoon stealing from local businesses and spying on people through their windows, before eventually
Yeah, that's a normal unhealthy lifestyle to lead.
collapsing in a pile of garbage. Honestly, when you spend your days like that, 12 hours flies by in no time. Which brings us to 4 p.m. January 4th. We're walking through the
Wait, are the snails still chasing you?
streets when suddenly another murder is reported.
Here it is, final phase. What's gonna happen with this kaiju mission?
This time on Sasaki Boulevard. The kaiju phase has begun.
Oh, yeah, my words exactly. OFOFOFOF.
For this phase, we're going to consolidate all of our medium snails into one single
And he would use this music.
mega snail, 10 times the size.
At United
Freaking ads,
Supermarkets, we work
just
with
got
local
this.
ranchers
Come on,
to
move
bring
on,
the
move
very
on, move
best
on,
to
move
your
on, move on, move on,
table.
and
Fresh
skip.
5 times the speed.
16 times the detail.
And in case you're wondering, yes, the hitbox is accurate. We are now dealing
Oh dear God. Whoop.
with a skyscraper-sized snail. We make our way to
Dumbest change ever. Full screen mode with comment section to turn on. I hate that.
the crime scene and begin investigating. A man was stabbed to death in broad daylight with a box cutter and surrounded by some kind of runic symbols. I do my best to put on a brave face, but deep in the fearful recesses of my heart, I know that he's out there, and he's coming for us.
Oh, dear
You see,
God.
the most stressful thing about being pursued by a 200-foot tall snail is not knowing where it is, because at this size, the pathing is highly
Wait, is it only just one snail? It's just massive?
unpredictable, and I've noticed the snail has a tendency to fly straight into the air and then rapidly descend upon us like a Stuka dive bomber. It's honestly very
Oh dear God, that's terrifying.
anxiety-inducing. Regardless, we do pick up one crucial piece of evidence just before Mega Snail comes
Did I
around
say let's play? Oh no. It's Ray Larvaeus Jr. Let's play.
the corner. Quickly escaping, I open up the note to find it's an anagram. This is the killer's name, but with all of the letters rearranged. So if we can solve it, we'll
I don't think that's the name.
pretty much have this case taken care of. However, there's one thing to address. Kaiju Snail is cool as hell. However, after playing with it for 20 minutes, I have realized it is not meant for this world. In
Really?
fact, it pretty much can't navigate the map at all without flying through the sky or spending 30 minutes getting stuck in an apartment building. Point is, it's actually way too easy for us to avoid him.
Oh no, he's gonna do something. He's gonna do something, isn't he?
And I think you, the viewer, deserves more. So we're going to reduce his size from 300 to 100. This will allow him to navigate the streets more effectively. Furthermore, we'll also buff his move speed from 5 to 6, making him actually faster than us.
Oh dear God. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now he's. What's the? Oh shoot. We're basically doing with the Mr. X of this guy. Oh dear God, this is terrifying.
So if we're not constantly parkouring our
It's Mr. S.
passes off, he will catch and kill us. Fortunately, I have developed the ultimate form
This is an escargot.
of parkour, throwing myself off a 19-story building. Please, have some faith. With the snail hot on our heels, we run into the
I mean, I suppose now it's only one snail. You know exactly where it's gonna be by the time you come back to 2.
nearest apartment building and jump on the elevator just in time to escape him. All the way at the top
Although it's not exactly my preferred way of escaping.
floor, we lockpick the door with the underside of our boot to gain access to the apartment.
We lockpick the door with the underside of our boot. Yeah, that sounds like 100% effective lockpicking method. Oh dear God.
At which point, we open up a window. Then, we wait. And as soon as the snail works his way up the staircase, we take the express elevator down to ground level. What would normally result in us turning into a fresh coat of sidewalk paint is now a perfectly harmless experience.
Why?
Because thanks to our Vigor Stability Sync disc, we
Oh, you modded yourself. Yeah. Okay, that's the thing in the game. You can buy little special things in there that can empower you. It's not a game mod. It's modifications for you in the game.
no longer take fall damage. So by plummeting to the ground at 85 miles per hour, we have managed to create a sizable distance between us and the snail.
That'll
In
do it.
testing, I found it takes him about 50 seconds to go up and down the staircase, which means we just have to solve this murder 50 seconds at a time.
Oh,
the
no.
key is unscrambling this name puzzle. Now you may be able to look at this letter jumble and divine some kind of arcane knowledge from it, but
Nah.
I cannot. In fact, it may as well be in Cantonese. So we're doing this the hard way. Our suspect's name has 9 letters. Heading to City Hall, we crack
Well, let's also hear the question. Is that first and last, or just first or just last?
open the phone book and begin the painful process of counting the letters in everyone's name in the entire city
You better really hope that's not the first name if you're doing it that way.
of 300 people. Then, if the length matches up, we rule out anyone who doesn't have key letters like J, K, and W. I won't lie, this is a pretty brute force method,
Yeah, it
and I
is.
can
What the
only
heck?
get through like 10 names at a time before the snail shows up and we have to practice our
You sure there wasn't like a blood trail or witnesses or something available?
cannonball.
to use?
Fortunately, across the street, there's a huge
I love the umbrella motion he had while I was doing it.
apartment building, and we formed a very nice routine of reading 10 or 12 names, going to the top floor apartment, jumping out the window, and then reading more names. This might seem not so bad, maybe even a little convenient, but I want to remind you, just because our legs aren't exploding like tempered glass doesn't mean this isn't taking a toll on our body.
Yeesh.
Logically speaking, the repeated abrupt and rapid
Yeesh.
deceleration of our brain should be giving us what the medical community would describe as a shitload of brain damage. Every time
And the brain damage. And the brain damage. Oh, hi, Mr. Reggie. How'd you get here?
we do this, we're getting about 1 car crash worth of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and after about a dozen times, I'm quite certain we should be a vegetable. Now, when you hear that, it may be tempting to feel bad for me, but don't.
Reggie? I will never feel bad for you the things you do to yourself.
Instead, feel bad for the guy that lived in that apartment, who almost certainly is going to end up in a mental asylum, because he has witnessed me jump to my death at least 100 times within a 5-hour period. And yet, I always return like some kind of pudding-brained revenant of self-destruction. Sometimes I beat him up. Sometimes I steal his shit. Sometimes he never even knows I was there until he checks the security tapes. But every time, I'm going out that window. Eventually, our perseverance pays off, and the phone book yields one match, Jay Whitaker. Their address is listed publicly, so it's time to go see how firmly their
Yeah, I think Whitaker does fit, doesn't it?
door is attached to its hinges. As it turns out, not very. We begin examining the apartment, and I'm going to save you
I think at this point he is at his last nerve and he's just trying to get it done as best he can at this point.
the trouble, but just know that I had to jump out the window like 20 times in the process. This yielded a few interesting things. Our suspect is Jaslyn Whitaker, and after reading her emails, I can see that she is horribly addicted to starch cola. In fact, she's consuming 32 cans a day. In case you're unfamiliar, starch
I
cola
think that's more than Asmund Cole takes Dr. Pepper.
is basically Coca-Cola before they took away the cocaine. Based on several notes we find, this binge drinking seems to have induced some kind of
See, A note saying you've been chosen is not exactly a good sign of mental health.
Psychosis, whereby our suspect believes that if they kill enough people, they can resurrect the long-dead CEO of a carbonated
The blood of lemmings must spill in the sea. What the heck?
drink company. Lastly, comparing the
Why is it there's no crazy people that go out to do amazing things? Why is it that all these crazy people go out and hurt people, hurt themselves, just do some of the worst things? There's no people who hear things that tell them, go do good, go help these people. And if they do, it's helping in the worst ways possible.
handwriting to the note left at the crime scene, we can see it's a perfect match. Now it's time to arrest this sicko and retire from this nightmare city.
Oopsie.
According to her
I was about to say, I didn't know handwriting was also a matching thing that can be worked with.
work contract, she's a pharmacist. So let's head down to the drugstore and fill a prescription for violent street justice. There she is, planning her next
Then again, I think Reggie is also quite the psychopath. Ugh.
murder. I saw no reason to complicate this, so I just went behind the counter and cuffed her. Fair warning, people do not like when you arrest their pharmacist.
Good lord, that was a draw. My God.
So we had to spend a few minutes avoiding an angry mob. But after that calmed down, we confronted Jaslyn, at which point she admitted to being involved in a starch cola cult dedicated to taking over the world. And unfortunately for her, she is not nearly hot enough for us to ignore that level of deranged psychosis. So it's time to book her. We grab the paperwork and fill it out while free-falling from the nearest skyscraper. A few minutes pass, and the case comes back solved. With that, we've reached social credit level 5, which means it's time for us to retire and leave this city once and for all. Barely avoiding our snail stalker, we rush into City Hall
It sounds like that last one was the easiest one of them all, which is extremely tedious and time-consuming.
and grab a retirement form. To my surprise, this included a last will and testament, and I was in a rush, so I decided to donate all of my worldly possessions to the dead guy from our second case. Then I fill in gibberish and profanity for the last part before handing the papers in. And just like that, the curious case of the snail apocalypse is closed. We're officially retired and waiting for a shuttle to take us to a paradise known as the Fields, where I am almost certain we will be euthanized and our body will be processed into Soylent to feed the proletariat. Truly, retirement has never felt so good.
I mean, it's a small price to pay for paradise, right?
Thank you to this month's patrons for supporting the channel, and finally, thank you for watching.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Reggie. Reggie. No, go away, you. I don't care about the ads. Oh, move it away. Okay, well, that was a thing. Oh dear god. Where do I even begin with that mess? Snails. I hate snails. They're small and get everywhere. Ugh. Anyways, thank you very much for watching with me this here. Please leave some comments on your thoughts on the video, things I should watch else in the future, or ways to improve. And I will definitely catch you out in the next time. Please do subscribe so you can follow along and join my community and help me grow. And leave a like if you enjoyed. And don't forget to watch Reggie's original to give him a like if for some reason you haven't already. I'll catch you next time. Live life to the max!